The night was heavy with mist, curling like ghostly fingers around the tombstones in Blackwood Cemetery. The air smelled of damp earth and something else, something rotten, lingering just beyond the senses. The town of Ash Hollow had long whispered about what lay beneath this cursed ground, but only one soul dared to test its whispers on this night: Jake Henshaw. Jake was no stranger to dares. He had laughed in the face of fear before, but this was different. This wasn't some schoolyard challenge or a drunken adventure. This was real. And the moment he stepped through the rusted gates, a chill wrapped around him like an unseen hand. The rules of the dare were simple: spend the night in the graveyard and leave at dawn. He had scoffed at the warnings, dismissing them as town legends meant to keep kids in line. But as he moved deeper into the maze of headstones, the weight of silence pressed against him. A voice, or was it the wind? Jake froze, scanning the shadows. His flashlight flickered, sputtering like a dying breath. He shook it, his pulse quickening. The batteries were fresh. So why was it failing? Darkness swallowed him whole. His breath came in short, sharp gasps. Then, a sound, a shuffle. Not from in front of him, but behind. He turned slowly. Nothing. Just rows of forgotten graves and the yawning black of the night. Yet, he felt it. Eyes watching. Something lurking just beyond sight. The whispers were coming from below. The graves. Jake staggered back, his foot catching on a jagged stone. He tumbled, hitting the ground hard, dirt clinging to his skin like grasping fingers. Then, a hand. It shot from the soil, gray and shriveled, fingers curling around his ankle. Jake screamed, kicking wildly, his voice swallowed by the howling wind. The hand tightened, its grip impossibly strong, dragging him towards the disturbed earth. He clawed at the ground, but it was useless. More hands burst through, skeletal and decayed, grasping, pulling. The whispers rose to a deafening chorus, voices of the damned calling his name. He was being dragged under, swallowed by the grave itself. His fingers dug into the earth, but the ground beneath him had turned to sludge, pulling him into the cold abyss of the dead. And then, nothing. The graveyard fell silent once more. The mist slithered back into the night, and the world moved on. By morning, there was no trace of Jake Henshaw, no footprints, no flashlight, no body. Just an unmarked grave, freshly covered, its dirt disturbed, as though someone had just been buried. A year had passed since Jake Henshaw vanished. The town spoke in hushed tones, claiming he had run away. But his friends knew better. The legend had grown, whispered among the daring and the foolish. And tonight, another stood before the rusted gates, determined to find out the truth. Emma Carter had always suspected something more sinister. Jake had been her best friend, and she refused to accept the easy explanation. Armed with a camcorder, a flashlight, and raw determination, she stepped inside. The air was thick, heavy with the same rotting scent that Jake had noticed before. She moved carefully, her camera's red light blinking in the night. Shadows stretched unnaturally along the ground, twisting as though alive. She paused. The whisper came again, this time forming her name. Emma. She turned quickly, shining the light towards the graves. The beam cut through the mist, landing on something impossible, a fresh, open grave. The dirt around it undisturbed, as though it had been waiting, just for her. And then, fingers. Clawing, grasping, pulling something upward. Something that should not have been moving. Something wearing Jake's face. Emma's vision blurred as she struggled, her arms pinned to her sides. Cold, wet earth pressed in from all around. She gasped, inhaling the suffocating scent of decay. Her fingers clawed at the wood above her, but there was no escape. Then, a voice, deep, guttural, and unmistakably familiar.
You shouldn't have come.
A decayed hand reached in, fingers wrapping around her wrist. Emma screamed, her voice muffled in the tight space. The grave trembled, and the whispers turned to laughter, low, mocking, endless. The coffin was sinking, deeper into the abyss, swallowed whole by the darkness. The last thing Emma saw was Jake's hollow eyes staring back at her, before the graveyard consumed them both.
Welcome home.